Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 6 of Field. I feel like time is certainly flying by. I just want to thank you guys for working so hard on your assignments. I did get a chance to grade week 5 of your assignments, but I haven't gotten around to finishing up week 4. So I should be up to date with all of your assignments graded as of this Thursday by 11:59. So if you have any questions in the meantime, please feel free to reach out. But thank you for being so patient as I get acclimated and keep up with your grading as it comes along. So you guys are doing fabulous. I'm not worried by any means. So in week 6, you do have one assignment that is due. It's a written assignment due this Sunday by 11:59. And it really goes over using supervision and the supervisory role. It's not necessarily when we think of a supervisor in the traditional sense to just have someone oversee you, but to really work with you and help you to process your thoughts, feelings, or interactions with the population that you're serving. So when you read chapter 5 of using supervision, you'll begin to unravel exactly what I am talking about and how that will help you to write your assignment. So you will have to answer each of the questions in each of the bullet points here. So the first one says, in what areas do you want and welcome feedback from your field instructor regarding your performance? So maybe you're okay with them, correcting your progress notes or maybe teaching you how to do an assessment, but maybe you're not okay with them telling you how to necessarily listen or use a specific treatment modality if you're doing more of the clinical type of work, hands-on work with a client. So it really depends on your experience, or is it the way that they may say something that makes you feel uncomfortable? Because I think, I'm a firm believer that it's not about what you say, it's about how you say it. So that within itself can be something that you can be sensitive to. For me, that was something for me in Field. So just to give you some ideas. And then for question 3, which of the following specific types of activities and experiences help you learn most quickly and easily? Which worked best for you, and how can you share this information with your field instructor in order to maximize your learning? So, everyone has a different learning style, and sometimes people learn from observing and kind of, that hands-on approach, where other people are more book-oriented and more have to write it down and study it and that type of thing. And I think with social work, it's a collaboration of both. But I think it is important to know what your learning style is and how that is going to affect your supervisory role that you have with your field instructor. So, of course, you're going to go through each of the bulletin points. You're going to discuss the pros and cons of possible decisions and actions with your supervisor before you have met with your client, discussing the pros and cons of possible decisions and actions with your supervisor after you have met with your client, discussing how your decisions and actions fit with a particular conceptual framework, theory, model, or perspective. I know some of you guys are really working hard on utilizing motivational interviewing and cognitive behavioral therapy to modify some maladaptive behaviors in young children or even adults through substance abuse. And I'm really impressed to hear about those as I read them in your reflection log. So you just want to make sure that you hit all of the bulletin points here. And then you'll go into question 4, which is, how can you work with your field instructor in order to have as many of these learning experiences as possible? So the great thing is that you guys have submitted your learning contracts, and you want to use that really as a focal point to make sure that you're constantly focused on the learning experience, but also you can grow from that. There will be times where you may endeavor something that's maybe not outlined in a learning contract, and that's simply okay. I think things will change as time progresses, and that's totally fine. So this assignment is due on Sunday by 11:59, and if there's any questions or concerns about how to complete the assignment, please feel free to reach out to me, but I'm pretty sure you guys will be fine. So great. So that's week 6. In addition, you also have your peer-to-peer field discussion forms to fill out or the live field discussion. So you only need a total of 5 for the entire semester. So I know some of you guys have attended the live field discussions that have been extremely great on Wednesdays, and have also been filling out the peer-to-peer field discussions as well. So we look like we're in good shape thus far. So you just need a combination of 5. And then you also have, just to switch gears just a little bit, you also have your first process recording due by the end of week 7. And that is actually, the date for that is actually on July 3rd. And so I just want to remind you guys that it's due, because I know that things unravel pretty quickly. And so it's not due this week, but it's due July 3rd by 11:59. And I did want to review it just slightly, just to give you guys some feedback on how to complete this. So your first process recording is, you can really talk about an individual, a family, or a group that you've experienced. So some of you guys are doing substance abuse groups. Some of you guys are doing maybe some individual counseling or case management type of work. So whatever you feel most comfortable with presenting for your first process recording is totally fine. And so there's 2 forms that you are going to complete for this assignment. The first one is your process recording review form, and that is something that you kind of just want to kind of check off to make sure that you have really hit all of the key points in your process recording. So this is really a place where you and your field instructor can kind of meet and review your process recording, and you will have them sign, and you will also sign it and submit it to me. So you want to make sure that you have hit all the key components, kind of check them off, and then sign at the bottom. So it shouldn't take too long to complete once your field instructor has looked at your process recording. So that's the first form. And then the second form is actually the template. So there are a few different components of the process recording. So you will have an introductory section. I just want to go back for a second. You have, okay, here we go. So you'll have, it's really 3 parts to it. So you'll have the first part where it's provide a brief description, no more than a half-type double-spaced page of field practice setting in the client and client group situation as background for the process recording. So that's where you're going to pull up the template, and you will type in your first intro section here. Paragraph is single space and no need to indent. And so that's where you'll do that. And then you'll go into the second component, which is the verbatim dialogue that has happened in group or individual. And it doesn't have to be an entire session. If there's a group for an hour and a half, maybe you only want to capture the first 20 minutes or some segment that really spoke to you, your feelings and guts, reactions on this side, your technique analysis on this side, and supervisor comments, because there will be times where I'm pretty sure you've processed this particular group or client in supervision. So you want to make sure that you take notes of your supervisor's comments. And then your overall analysis. So if you go back, click. Okay, here we go. So once you have completed the meat and potatoes of your assignment in the graphic organizer, you'll go to part 3, where you'll write a page and a half double spaced of your analysis and feedback on the process, referring to specific line numbers within your process recording in the previous part of the assignment. So for example, you might want to say, in line 22, I was very successful in achieving my goal with the client to gather all of their paperwork to assist in housing. And so you can talk about what errors you made and you feel like you need to perform better in, the theory or ideas that were driving your process, and what might you do differently if you had the opportunity to maybe change some things around. So you want to make sure that you're hitting all of these key components in your process recording. I know that it can be pretty extensive, but I think once you get started, it will easily flow together. So that is your process recording that is due by the end of week 7. Okay. So in addition to that, I just wanted to remind you guys that you will also be having an additional course, Social Work 541, added to your schedule in the beginning week of week 8 of your course, which is actually July 5th. And I know that's going to swing around pretty quickly, so I just wanted to give you guys a friendly reminder about that. And the last reminder I wanted to give you guys was to please be sure to keep track of your field hours and upload them to Sonia at the end of the month or the early beginning of the month for the previous month. So I will also send out a reminder about that just to make sure that you're accruing your hours properly. But other than that, I'm really impressed with all the work that you guys have been submitting, and I really look forward to continuing to hear your field experience, more stories about your field experiences as you continue to flourish. So please feel free to reach out with any questions or concerns, and have a great week. Bye-bye.